You know what time it is? It's the void rant time, right? I just finished mowing the yard, took a shower, looking fresh. Check the curls; they're coming back. They're coming back. But nonetheless, the game I've been playing recently on my off time, or I'd say, I mean, what am I talking about? I'm employed. Every time's off. But Marvel Rivals in itself, right? It's been taking me by a thick grasp, right? It reminds me of the good days back when I was sitting on the floor with a good old box TV and the Xbox or the PlayStation, whenever we did have with my little brother playing Overwatch, right? And we actually had the disc. Um, and I was like, you know what, let me just play the new, get back into Rivals, right? Because I played during like season 0 through 3, right? I loved it. I dabbled in the rank, got to like a plat 2-ish, and then I stopped for like a while. Now it's on season whatever. I don't know. I don't keep up. And I started to get back in and just playing casually, quick play, and it is sufferable. It really is sufferable. Basically, because of what I've seen in most of my quick play games, the dive meta and a dive world. And I've been playing well support recently because I like Ultron, I like mechs, that's just me. And two, um my team needed it, right? I just fill a role, and usually there's a tank player whenever we play. If not, I play the thing and I just run at them like a feral dog. Just screaming at them, just always going in. I mean, sometimes going back out whenever they have like someone who just blows my head up because my head is the size of a billboard on the side of the road. But nonetheless, when I've been playing support, it is probably the worst experience playing it, just because of the characters that I play, right? Ultron only has like one escape. I played Jeff just because he's a little fit. My boy Jeff, a little fit. Mantis, she's very fun. I mean, kinda. I miss most of my shots, anyways. But nonetheless, out of the ones that I play, I don't really like to stick to meta champs, right? Like when I go to look at the roster again, right, there is only like if you literally look at it, there's only 11 healers, right? Adam, Cloak and Dagger, Gambit, Invis, Jeff, Loki, Luna Snow, Mantis, Raccoon, Ultron, and White Fox. And what I see all the time is everyone playing White Fox, Invis, Cloak and Dagger, and Gambit. Only those four, because they're just incredibly strong, right? Good capabilities, um, good escape, good peel for themselves, self peel. They are self sustainable in most circumstances, and they have good ults, right? Gambit's big damage boost to push through the cart. Invis, good stall defensive. Cloak, defensive and offensive if you want to push, right? White Fox, I say mostly offensive, but her herself is just disgusting as is. And I honestly, I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of having these strong supports in my lobby and in this dive world, because that's the only way you can kill them, because like you need something that like keeps up with them to stay on them and to perma stick. That's why you see Daredevils, Iron Fist, Black Panthers, and what's notorious now is Black Cat. She annoys me because there's so many iframes on her. And if you guys don't know what iframes, it's invincible frames, or it's where a character or your character is invulnerable, right, for us like so many frames, right? Like think of the Dark Souls rule, that like, and there's like, or the Monster Hunter rule at the same time, or the jump, right, where there's so many seconds while you're in this animation, you are impervious, right, to damage or other forms of, like, say, crowd control, um or anything basically trying to stop you, right? And I was like, man, why? What is the fix to this? What is the fix to this? Well, in my opinion, kind of a bad time playing. Because if I compare it to the OG Overwatch, you had like a nice, good front to back and flankage. It was pretty good, right? You had some mobile characters, and all healers, right? They could, well, heal the team, right? And they had good self peel, and there wasn't so much where an enemy dive person could do to blow up your back line, right? In like point like 75 seconds, right? Because you get these Adderall addicts, these freaks online that quick play warriors, I'd like to say, because, well, obviously the season's ending and you see a lot of these players come off because they don't want to grind anymore and try ranking up. Honestly, kind of sad you give up right before the finish line. But nonetheless, it just it's just really painful. And so I was thinking of ways to fix this problem, right? And I was like, well, let me compare it to League of Legends. I know, kind of a cursed game, but I still like it. Well, mainly because I play TFT now, and I still have good memories and where I met good connections through League, just because it's so easy accessible by almost everybody. And through that, and I was like, okay, well, let me think of when they had the assassin meta or the tank meta, the ADC meta. There's always a meta for a certain role or a certain class, right? Or currently what the mages are nowadays, right? Or if you make everyone strong, then nothing true is broken. Or if you make everything, or if you make people too weak, then you only have to do one thing is outlast them, right? And that's what the tanks were. I miss the days. I can just run at them and be like, you can't kill me. Ultimate power fantasy right there, the impervious wall. But nonetheless, the only way to fix this is one, making every support have an easy way to escape or to live, right? If not, you're going to always permanently get three supports, just be able to withstand um, the dive, right? And or if you don't go through support to withstand the dive and or play Loki and just see if you can get into their heads and play mental games, right? A good Loki makes the enemy dive hit people hate their lives unless they also are good at spotting Lokis, looking at that clone and be like, I saw you twitch. The good old Spidey's tingles, right? Um, well, what was I saying? Well, obviously, right? Make everyone have an escape, right? Or to the point where the dive characters, right, do a little bit less damage than they should to blow up the enemy backline, right? Because of the respawn timers are longer, uh, and it's really hard to keep your team alive, and you get basically staggered pretty easily, and that's just not fun, right? Because if when you make dive characters and you make assassin characters, you want your players to have that experience where they are strong and they're the reason why they are in distress. Their backline is in distress, right? And where it's to a point where it's a thin line of balancing. Too much damage, it's unplayable, it's unbearable, right? Too little damage, why play that character when you can just play hit scan in front to back, right? Obviously, my personal preference is to do front to back, right? Because it's traditional shooter, yada yada yada. It's fun that way, right? And then flanking is where you outmaneuver them, right? But if you just have an assassin who can, uh, since Rivals is a very vertical game, right? You can do a lot of stuff with it, like permanent flyers and all that stuff, right? Where you have characters who could crawl on walls forever if they do the right thing. Um, or if you have it's a thin line of balancing, and it's to a point where it's somewhat unbearable right now. It is unbearable because um backline access is so easy, right? And if you make backline access so easy, then you need the backline to have access to for defense, right? If it's a rock paper scissors, right, and they have uh rock and scissors, and all you have is a paper, sure you can cover the rock, but they also have a scissor to cut you up so the rock goes through, right? And it's just not. It's just like it's just not fun. It's just not fun. So, in my opinion, I was thinking, right? What if Mantis, right? Since I've been playing the bug, right? that's that's what I call her. I'm just bugging around, right? Her projectile speed moves up just a bit, and if you think, obviously healers are too strong because they have damage, so much damage when you two shot people is like, well, you think about it, why do they have that much damage? It's because a good support will bully the dive characters if they hit their shots to get off of them, right? But not everybody has a a shroud level of aim, right? Not everybody has that aim where they can go crazy with it. So that's the reason, in my opinion, why they have that damage in order to deter enemy divers, right? To jump on them if they get basically exploded, it runs them off, right? And if that's their defensive tool, well, obviously it's just skill based matchmaking if they don't want to change that. But if they do, one, I would say reduce damage to supports, make supports just heal, right? Sure, give them, if they're hybrid supports like, in my opinion, Ultron, or honestly, the only hybrid support is probably Ultron. His healing kind of stinks. Uh, Gambit's like a Swiss Army knife. He has too many tools in his belt. I remember he got nerfed when he first got released, right? I did not like him when he first got the lead because I was like, oh yeah, I love Gambit, and then I saw him being a support, and I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that. All the X-Men comics I read, a lot of characters should be DPS, and they just should just look through the catalogs of all the comics to find actual support characters instead of, I don't know, Adam Warlock, who is the literally like the prime human being, right? Or or Ultron, who really, who, like in some comics, literally destroys the world and the entire thing of the Avengers, right? Like we remember like the old Amazing Spider-Man shows or the Avenger shows, right? Where Ultron won, there's an alt universe and they had to do something else different, right? We all remember that. If you guys had a, you watched like any of the Cartoon Networks or the Disney shows, or I don't know, I can't remember it. It's been years. It's been years. But nonetheless, give them all of it escape, reduce damage, but give them escape, right? Therefore, their defensive tool is not hitting their shots and killing them, therefore forcing them backwards, but give them to where they can self deter, right? The dive to go back on them, and it makes it to where the dive characters that they want to blow up a healer, say two dive characters, right? If they do one tank, one good tank like a Strange, right? No matter what, Strange is probably the best tank, no matter what. Just because I know slander to the other boys out there, a good Hulk is also pretty crazy too. But they're very rare and few, right? Just because of versatility and pressure, right? But when I'm thinking about giving them defensive tools, they have to be in a certain way to where the enemy dive characters, when two of them jump back and then you have one hit scan back there too, right, on the enemy team, the two divers have to coordinate in order to really kill somebody, right? And obviously, in quick play, right, if you just base it around the most common use of the game where everyone's playing quick play, because rank I think is like 40-50% of it, but after that everyone goes back to having quick play just because it's the normal game mode, and that's pretty normal. That's pretty normal, right? And basing off a league, if you bounce around comp, the base game kind of suffers, right? So if you bounce around quick play, the ranked game will kind of thrive. So when it's like that, I find that to be a better play style. Sure, dive characters, right? Like it's harder for them, but it technically should be harder because they have so much power as is, right? If you have iframes, if you're hyper mobile, if you're able to basically dash around the screen in 2 seconds, and tracking is so hard, say if you do play on a controller, it's impossible. If you play on PC where people excel at, because they can in a fraction of a second rotate their character and maneuver in a fashion that is incredible to see as a spectator, but hard to deal with as a player. So just give everyone more defense, right? And it's the point I was like, okay, how do you do that, right? To the weakest healers, in my opinion, Ultron, Mantis, Loki, I think those are the three weakest. Rocket does good if you just permanent heal. Like you just press right click and you never shoot people at all, ever, unless like there's a defensive ult going on. So it just depends. Uh, Adam, a good Adam, his ult is crazy. He has good damage. His I believe he's in a decent spot right now. A good Adam's in a decent spot. He has a self res. Maybe reduce that self res timer down by a bit. It'll be a little bit more better, right? With Jeff, um, with Jeff, he's a little bit different, right? We all love Jeff. We all hate Jeff. Jeff is the mascot, right? Where you just want to you want to strangle the little life out of him, but give him a little hug after there. He's like, ah, there's a good shark, right? There's a good shark. He's in a weird spot because he is probably the easiest healer to start and play with, right? He has Bubbles move speed with minimal healing. He has his big blast of water gunk that he shoots out that it can interrupt people. If you're a good Jeff, you can interrupt like um it's like a fraction of a second of like CC where it knocks back, so you can push people out of their ultimates, right? It just depends. So with him, to make him better, since he's probably the easiest, make his beam only do healing, give him more health. I don't really have a defined answer on him because I feel like he's in a decent spot. He also feels like the squishiest because even if he dives, right, where he hides his head, he already has damage reduction on his big old head anyways. If he dives anywhere underground and he starts healing himself when he moves, it doesn't limit the people from shooting him still, right? They can still shoot him and kill him even though he dives. So make it when he dies, he has maybe damage reduction. That's probably cool. That's probably interesting. Loki, my opinion, to make him better, two runes, two runes of healing. If you do two runes of healing for him, it'll be a bit better. Adjust the cooldowns to be a bit longer to make it feel like that, oh, I really gotta stay alive type moment, but then make the runes HP a little less to shoot them when you blow them up to destroy them. So it's, if you give them two, make it easier to destroy them if the players are smart enough, right? Um, as we speak of more defensive, Cloak is good, Gambit is good, Invis Woman, she can already launch people away from jumping at her. She can go invis by jumping back. I think she's fine. White Fox, she's unkillable right now as is. I feel like she needs to do less damage. I don't like her at all. I wish she was never in this game because you get to a point where there's always power creep in the game. And within power creep, she's like the pinnacle of that, to where if they try to outdo themselves yet again, it will get into a vicious cycle where they always have to outdo themselves to make something more crazy. And it gets to a point where it leaves the other older champions behind, right? You see that with other games all the time. So reduce her damage. That, yeah, keep her damage on her ult. Yeah, it's her ult. That's fine, right? But reduce her damage and her survivability when she's in a melee form. She shouldn't out heal um, other tanks or attackers when they're attacking him. If you have a fully amped up Wolverine attacking her, I'm pretty sure she still lives when she's in her melee form and she's able to do damage. Or if she's like in the middle of I don't really read her stuff, but I just don't like how long she lives even if she goes in. It makes sense, right? Where I think where they had the right idea, just needs some numbers adjustment. Luna Snow, she's in a decent spot, except when they jump on her. When they jump on her, like, you have your icicle, right? Only if you hit, it's still a projectile. So make it a bigger snowball, right? Where it's like a big glob, right? Where if it hits you, it freezes you, right? So that way, I gave her two charges of that. So it's easier to hit, right? And if it's easier to hit, maybe not two charges, is just one to stop them from jumping on you. That way, it gives her more defense. Mantis, two sleeps maybe. She's in a weird spot where she's a hybrid, where she's supposed to do damage to get her petals back to heal and damage boost. Um, so two sleeps maybe make the radius a bit bigger to catch the freakishly fast gooners. That's all I can say. The goons, man, not the ones that are gooning out there, but like the traditional Lego Batman goon. Remember they used to be like that. Let's return the words to be like that. But that's the only way I could ever think about doing something with Mantis, right? She's slow. She doesn't heal that much. She has resources management, which stinks. Uh, which obviously, when you have resource management on top of your cooldowns, which is also a resource, you have more skill complexity to a character. So if there's more skill complexity to a character, at least make it better. So if you don't want to give her two sleeps, you want to make sure it's a 15-second sleep, right? If you hit, um, but make the radius bigger, as well as um, making her heals heal more. That's fine, right? I feel like she'd be in a better position, right? Her ult lasts way too, like, it's compared to the others, it's super quick. It's super quick. Cloak and Dagger can put her ult and then fight. Mantis, she puts her ult down and she can fight and do something, right? Luna Snow, she can use her ult, but she's basically CC immune, impervious, and all the other stuff, right? So it's basically a lesser version of the Luna Snow ult. The reason why there's a difference between the two, and it's because they don't want them to be the same. If you don't want to give her a longer ult and make where Mantis ultis is similar to Luna, so just do something different. It can be completely different, right? Make it more plant-like. I don't know, like a basin, right? Where it's like, or a tall tree that she sprouts, where it causes enemies or allies around this tree to heal, or to do the enemies near the tree take damage, a little dot damage over time, something like that. Make it destroyable, yes, but with like a decent HP pool, like similar to like Rocket's uh thing, more actually, because Rocket's ult also can just explode if people just blow it up, right? So you have to be strategical with Rocket stuff, but Rocket's also damage boosts. If you just make it to where Mantis um just heals and does the damage, completely fine, right? Make it impervious. Sure. Uh Rocket, right? He has two dashes. Make it three. Make it three, or have the cooldown be quicker for it, right? Because yes, you're small, right? It's harder for them to hit you, but if they have more dashes than you have dashes, you're kind of screwed, because no matter what you can do, they'll still get you. They'll still get you. Especially with BP, right? And his, like, basically his resets, and same thing with Black Cat, right? You have the Black Panther. You just have black cats. I hate black cats at this point. You're making me not like cats. It's all the dev team. I'm on you. I'm on you. But something like that, right? His heals, they're fine. AoE, as well as if you aim with him, actually hit somebody with him, it heals for an egregious amount, right? That's why with Raccoon, you have to aim. You have to aim with Raccoon in order for you to heal buttloads, right? Ultron, with Ultron, him and himself, he, in my opinion, he was never meant to be a a support. He's meant to be a damage dealer, but they wanted to do something different. They wanted him to be a support, so you can have a support Ultron and an Iron Man right together on the same team, right? So you're not like contested with two DPS, and they're basically the Iron Twins and they're flyers, yada yada yada. But I remember when he first came out, he had too much damage. They nerfed that. Good choice. But make his heals do more. Now he has two drones, and I just learned that the drones give a damage boost whenever you do your nano field that sprouts from the drones when you right click, right? For Ultron. It just moves speed, temp, bonus HP, and uh, damage boost. And I don't know the exact numbers, but it's decent. It's decent. The only way I can save balancing him, make him faster. He's terribly slow in the air, so it's easy for any hit scan to hit him, right? Obviously, if you play to the terrain and try not to show yourself and just heal, you're an inactive healer hybrid, right? Same thing with Mantis, right? Your main ability doesn't heal. Your left click doesn't heal. It's there to only do damage. So you have a complex situation, right? If your main thing is to do damage and not to heal, then what really are you? You're a flex healer. Obviously, I feel like there's more roles within the DPS thing and all the other list, right? You have like tanks, you have bruisers, you have vanguards, like the actual, because there it's three categories, but within these three categories, there's subcategories within them that do different things. And if you're in the gaming sphere, you can identify some of them, right? But with Ultron, in order to make him different, right? His heal should heal more, right? He should permanently have a drone sphere on himself, um, as well as make him a little faster or his dash a little better. Because even though that they get that a burst dash and then you have that fast move speed, you can go places, right? It's okay until it runs out and then you're basically back to where you began, and then it's longer than like 10 seconds sometimes that it feels like that you are just a sitting duck sometimes, right, without it, right? With a good Spider-Man who knows how to engage and a good healer that knows that he's a good Spider-Man, will prioritize him whenever he comes back, gets tuned up, refuels him, heals, and he zips right back out there within 3 seconds, and he knows you have no escape tool. And that's where it becomes a problem, right? So if you give him less damage, right? Because he still does good damage, right? A little less damage, more healing to make him feel like a support instead of a hybrid support. Um, and make him faster. Honestly, mobility is probably the strongest stat in any game, any competitive game, or um, any game in general, right? Unless you, unless the game is the faster you go, the harder you hit the wall, or something like that, right? Unless it's something like that. But he's a very hard case that you would have to think about for a while, a while. White Fox gutter, take her out back, hit her with a 22, get her gone. I don't like her. I don't like her. But nonetheless, that's just me and my opinions, right? My opinions on how to make the supports feel better, or the ones that don't get a lot of love like they should. I don't read patch notes. I don't keep up with it. I'm just getting back into a game that I thought was fun, a good hero shooter. Everyone likes a good hero shooter. But nonetheless, thank you guys for watching and listening to me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Maybe. I'll think about it. What if you catch me? It's a mystery, nonetheless.